settle for less. It's all in your head, how you think you manifest. So get ready to rise, cause we about to be the best. Gotta switch it up, gotta break the old habits. Get your mind right, turn your dreams into habits. No negative vibes, only positive thoughts.
What is up, guys? Welcome to another episode of the Mindset Cafe podcast. It's your boy Devin, and today we are joined by a special guest, Dr. Michael Neal. He is a practicing optometrist. He is an entrepreneur, and he is an expert in really the hiring strategy. As the founder and CEO of Build My Team, Dr. Neal has transformed his own hiring strategies into a game-changing solution that now serves his clients in 8 healthcare professions across 40 states and Canada. So that is no small feat. So, without further ado, I don't want to get too much into his story because I love hearing it from them. Welcome to the show. Thank you so much for taking the time out of your day.
Thanks so much, Devin. I'm excited to be here.
So let's dive in, right? What was your, I always like to, before we get into like the accolades and everything like that, what was your bring up, what led you to, go the doctor route and, the entrepreneur route, but what was your bring up? What was your childhood like?
I grew up in rural, like literally rural Pennsylvania, Canada, Alberta, Canada. As a kid, I lived in a town of 500 people. We didn't have a traffic light. So that gives you an example of what rural means up there. And I had a great, just it was a wonderful place to grow up. Didn't like it at the time, but in hindsight, it was truly fantastic.
That's so awesome. And what did your parents do when you grew up?
So my dad, folks were divorced early. Mom's a school teacher, and dad did sales essentially.
Okay. And did he, was it like door-to-door sales? I'm kind of painting a picture right now.
Yeah, like life insurance sales, primarily, that type of thing.
Okay, very nice. And so, growing up, seeing your parents, you had both parents working and really, had them to kind of develop you as well. But what was that? Did you go to, well, obviously you went to college because you're a doctor. What was your initial like start in college? Did you always know you wanted to be a doctor?
So I started in eye care as a student. Was it co-op ed? Is the program, like in high school, you have a program trying to get you into the workforce, see if you like something, that type of thing. Well, I did that and started, believe it or not, as a secretary, and I was awful at it. I was looking back, it was, Build My Team is all about your natural strengths and talents. I had none for that position, zero. What I was brought on for essentially, and I found this out later, was to help computerize the practice.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so like, did you have a background in computers, or just because you were young, they assumed that you knew computers?
Yeah, a lot of that background in computers as well. But like, what kid doesn't? But yeah, the practice had no idea how to do any of that, and I helped them do that.
Okay, so you were working as a secretary. What was that transition to, moving to your next step?
Well, I realized that I really liked eye care, and eye care is for an entrepreneur, it's kind of interesting because you get to run a business, but the business is helping people and making them see. So it's a hell of a great, it's kind of, I honestly think it's a bit of a noble profession. That sounds arrogant, but we're helping people see. So this isn't something that was a tough decision per se. Always fascinated by how the visual system works. And if you're not fascinated, just read up on it. I don't know how a person couldn't be fascinated by it. But I got to help people and run a business. That's really what it came down to. And I knew I wanted to do both.
No, that's so awesome. So now you're running a business. And what was that? I mean, because you got into optometry and you're scaling that business. Yeah. What led into you understanding that you had a different way to go about hiring and everything like that?
Yeah, eye rolls for anybody listening on audio. So why did we get it? I didn't get into it on purpose. I didn't get into it to build a company. I got into it to solve the most miserable problem you can shake a stick at for a healthcare practice, and that's the revolving door of hiring. Talk to any doctor who's in their own practice. It's the number one problem that we all face. And so we're just hiring the wrong people over and over. We were using resumes to hire. We were interviewing people. We were manipulated in interviews. We tried to fix everybody. We tried to be doctors, not business leaders per se. We didn't know we were doing it wrong. We had no training in this. So what went right? Random chance. Just randomly, occasionally somebody great would come in and make the cut. But we really didn't know what we were doing at all. And so that transition to build my team, oh boy. I got to the point back in 2016 where I just pulled, as you can see, pulled all my hair out. Couldn't believe that other companies were doing this well. And like, what the heck was wrong with our practice? We were hiring the complete wrong way. We didn't know it, as I said. So I did some executive coaching with some organizations, found out how they were hiring, did some research on companies like Disney, the Four Seasons, Ritz-Carlton, like really high-end customer service type positions where they take wonderful care of people. It's an amazing experience when you go to these types of establishments. And over the course of a while, it took a while, reverse engineered how they were hiring. And that's how it got started.
That's interesting. I mean, it's always interesting to, to me, for like entrepreneurs, you don't necessarily have to reinvent the wheel sometimes, right? It's analyzing what other people are doing in different industries that's working, and how can I apply that to my industry? What lessons can I take bits and pieces of to essentially make my own masterpiece, right? And so that's what it kind of sounds like you did.
Well, there's a lot of people who can invent stuff from scratch, and I have invented things from scratch. But let me tell you, to take something that's working in another industry and working well and apply it to your own industry or your own profession, you don't have to reinvent the wheel. It's so much faster, and you don't have to make the million mistakes that are required to commercialize something, that type of thing. So we ended up taking this approach, and it has worked out really, really well.
No, that's awesome. So I would say, let's start off with, what were some of your biggest hiring mistakes that you made early on that really impacted this direction that you went?
Oh, well, if we've got 10 hours for the podcast, I can list them all. But I think number one was that we were hiring fixer-uppers. Works great in real estate. You make a bundle of money. If you do that in hiring, you're getting nowhere. We would hire the way doctors would. Like patients, we naturally are hell-bent on helping and fixing people, curing them, treating them, all of that stuff. And what we found out the hard way is that, we were looking at the C and D level performers and trying to bring them into a practice and coach them up to an A and B level performer. It doesn't work. It just doesn't work. You want to be a professional time waster. That's one of the most awesome things I can think of, to waste time and spin your wheels. So that's one thing. The second thing is when candidates come in and they're being interviewed by a doctor, they are a lot of times deer in the headlights type thing. They aren't going to give you anything close to accurate answers. Sometimes we flat out have pretty hardcore manipulation in those interviews. They tell you what you want to hear just to get the job. And so it's, again, doctors don't have any formal experience interviewing and are very easy to manipulate. So that was another issue. And I think also, I know this now, didn't know it then, but using resumes to hire entry-level positions is a complete waste of time. Why do I say that? Well, what does a resume actually tell you? And, in the proverbial old days, it used to tell you a decent amount. Now it's made up. There's no way to confirm it. You try and call references, they're not going to tell you much of anything. The resume is entirely authored by the person trying to get the job, so they can say whatever they want. There's always a level of embellishment. And the hardest part was entry-level positions. Most times the resume doesn't say much of anything. Like, there's just not content on there. I worked at this job, I worked at that job, but what does it tell me about what you're good at? And the answer is nothing. Like, virtually nothing. That's the problem with using resumes to hire for entry-level positions. Look, it's a completely different ballgame if you're hiring a CEO or a CMO or like C-level positions or senior leaders. That's different. But for the entry-level positions, it just didn't work well at all.
No, I mean, I can say from my own experience too, I'm not huge on resumes that with my trainers and all that kind of stuff, because you can fluff up your resume to look amazing, and then you come in and it's like, what was all that stuff, all those words on that paper?
Yeah.
It's crazy, So I
But
completely agree
how
with
many
that.
times have you looked at a resume? You look down, you look up, you look down, you look up, and you're like, are you the same person that, like, am I wrong? Like, did I print the wrong resume? Like, the first thing I was thinking is I screwed something up. No, actually, this beautiful resume that's now written by ChatGPT and edited by Grok and run through Perplexity and Claude, and it's the most gorgeous thing authored since Romeo and Juliet. And then you're talking to the person in front of you and like, hey, bud, you're not Shakespeare. Like, you can't even spell Shakespeare. What is going on here? There's such a mismatch,
Is so true. It is so true. I've
Yeah.
definitely seen a handful of those, and I'm like, these are some big words, for the fitness industry. That this is just a base level position. So I was like, this person does know a lot, and then all of a sudden during the interview, start talking, and then you're like, are you certified? What? Do
Well,
you
the better
know all
question
these
is,
things?
are you certifiable?
Oh,
Because some of
100%.
those folks, like, who wrote this resume? Did mom help you out?
Right? It's
Yeah.
so crazy. Um,
Yeah.
you know, so there's a thought. I mean, because I've heard this saying, and there's, I guess, two sides of the coin as well for it, and I want to get your take with hiring. People say that the best people already have jobs or aren't looking for jobs, right? And
Oh,
I
man.
mean, to a degree, I get why they would say that, but at the same time, that's not always the position. So how do you weed out, someone that's good, someone that's doing that fluff?
Yeah. I would argue that that type of mindset is letting yourself off the hook when you think that, oh, all the good jobs, all the good people are taken. Okay. Well, look, as an entrepreneur, you still got a problem to solve. You can't scale a business without people. It's impossible. Um, so what we've done with Build My Team is we created an end-to-end process where we will find people for our clients based upon natural strengths and talents, what they're actually good at, not what they tell you they're good at, because that's usually just made up. It's what they're actually good at. And we do that through a series of assessments that's all done automatically. We write the job description initially for the clients. We publish it to over 20 different job boards, and then candidates just start applying. And those candidates are asked to take a set of assessments. It's all branded for our clients, and they go through the assessment process, or they don't. And that's the first filter.
So it's almost like a pre-screening, essentially.
Well, we don't only just screen, but we can actually select the people with 97% certainty once they go through the process. The whole purpose of it is to for our clients to be able to spend less than an hour's worth of net time on hiring for a position, and it's completely automated. So when we have candidates applying, the whole purpose is to get as many candidates as possible. It's a massive filter, if you will, or funnel, I should say. And so we pour as many people into the top of the funnel as possible. And at the other end of the funnel, the bottom end of it, out pops just a handful of people. And by that point in time, we know they can do the job. Our software literally gives us a thumbs up behind the scenes on whether or not they can do the job. And we know that with, like I said, about 97% certainty. So the next step past that is we send them a one-way video interview. And we're looking, we don't care what they look like. We don't care if they're male or female. We don't care if they're purple, pink, green. It's completely immaterial. What we care about is how they're going to represent your business. And, luckily in the fitness industry, you've got a lot more leeway than, let's say, a doctor's office. But what we're really looking for is this person going to be able to do the job well? Is it a natural fit for them? So, for example, we recommend somebody to your business. They walk in, and we know that they can do the job, and we know that it's just a natural fit for them. They're just going to show up for work and be themselves. Just be themselves all day long and perform.
So why would it be a mistake to, I mean, looking at a resume, right, and doing, I mean, I get the whole the screening, and you're hiring for a job, and they perform and everything like that. But would it be a mistake to hire someone solely off of experience?
Well, boy, that's a leading question. So our feeling on experience, company wide and mine personally, is unless it's a licensed position. Okay, so you have some certifications, let's say physical trainers or otherwise. I understand that. But unless it's a licensed position, you are virtually always better off to go with somebody without experience for entry level positions. We've proven that so thoroughly throughout North America. It's I just wouldn't go back to the other way. And I'll tell you why. So for almost all entry level positions, you can train the person very quickly. Well, one of the things we measure, because there's a caveat to this, is their speed of learning. We actually measure that as part of the assessments. If they are not an intelligent human being, that's okay, but they're not going to work for most of our clients. Okay. On the other hand, if they're Mensa level geniuses, that's great. The world needs a lot of those folks, but that's also not going to work because they're going to leave most of our clients because the job isn't challenging enough for them. So there's a sweet spot. And when it comes to the experience side of things, now you get somebody in with experience. They tend to be folks who are very financially motivated. They can jump from one job to another because the people that do hire experience, it's very easy to get them. But when they're coming into your business, you have to untrain them. So especially with small businesses that don't have a lot of systems and processes in place, you have somebody coming in. As a business owner, do you want them to do it your way, or do you want them to do it the way that they used to at the previous business? Right. And sometimes that can be okay. Most times it categorically is not. And so you end up having to take a person and try and unlearn things, try and stop those bad habits before you build new ones. It just takes forever to do something like that versus bringing in somebody who doesn't have those bad habits and is a natural fit for the position. They are off to the races in no time.
No, I agree. And I think that's one of the biggest things, even for our trainers. We actually have two levels of trainers here. We have non-certified and certified, and we took the doctor approach, and we always have to have one certified trainer on the floor, but it's like sometimes we'd rather hire a non-certified trainer that is competent, that is energetic, that is all these things. We can teach the rest. They can get the certification later on,
Yes. And they're going to love you for it because you took them from here and you moved them up to here, up to here, up to here as they go through this, versus somebody who comes in who has the certification and clock punches, just walks in, punches a clock, lives out the day, goes home. Like there's no, in the fitness industry, especially, enthusiasm is critical. So you want to get me, I'm a long distance runner. Got the Boston Marathon coming up in April. When I started running in 2022, there was no enthusiasm. There was, oh my God, I can't even, no, I don't want to do this. No. And there were some folks in my life who were unbelievably enthusiastic about it. And lo and behold, I absolutely love it now. Without enthusiasm, I would still be on the couch, running between the couch and the fridge.
That's hilarious.
With a very heavy remote control for the TV. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Yeah. It's true. I mean, it is true. But I mean, all the other stuff comes later, but there's certain qualities that you need to have to be successful in a certain job.
Yes.
So what would those top performance factors be that you could predict, like a long-term employee's success?
Well, I mean, it depends on the type of business. So in healthcare, for example, being detail oriented is critical. If you are not detail oriented, I'm telling you, it's not going to work out. If you can't follow process, generally doesn't work so well because healthcare is all about details and following process. If you are somebody who, and notice I didn't say personality at all yet, right? If you're outgoing, terrific. If you're more of an introvert, terrific. There are positions for everybody in those types of roles. On the fitness side of things, in terms of, things that you look for success, I think like number one, enthusiasm. Maybe it's not number one, but it's certainly in the top ones. You have to be able to communicate well.
Mhm.
And so one of the things we measure is the type of communication preference a candidate has. For example, I talk reasonably quickly. Now, if you're the type of person that wants to talk like this, and you're matched up with a guy like me, or you're matched up with somebody who talks twice as fast as I do, it's not going to work, right?
Right.
So there are certain things that are relatively straightforward that you can predict the person's success in any type of business. Speed of learning is one, but there's all kinds of other stuff as well, and that's specific to the position.
No, that honestly is super interesting. Now going into personality types, like you were saying, because
Well,
you could, I'm not personality types per se, like for hiring, right? But
Right.
meaning that everybody has their own personalities, right? And
Mhm.
you might hire the best person or a great person to fill the role, but how does that impact overall like team culture or energy or all those other things that a company thinks
Right.
about?
So just a minor correction. We don't do personality testing.
Mhm.
In what we do, it's all about strengths and talents. The folks love the whole concept of personality testing, like it's a magic bullet. It is absolutely not, and more often than not, it leads you in the wrong direction.
Right.
You can have a bubbly person who is terrible at the job, and personality testing will fly. Like, congrats, you pass all the personality tests, but you're terrible at the job because you don't have natural strengths and talents for it. So the maybe help me with your question again.
So you're hiring someone, right? But there's a
Yeah.
natural team culture, a team energy that gets built, and it's obviously not built on day one of someone getting hired.
Yeah.
But at the same time, if you're hiring someone that has all the skills and they fit this role, but they don't fit with the rest of the team, like the rest of the team, let's say, would go to a barbecue and they wouldn't invite this other person because
Right.
they're complete polar opposites.
So there will always be a component of that is personality driven. But,
Mhm.
and here comes the big but. What we found is that it's more based upon performance. So the way I describe this is that A players on a team only want to work with A players.
Mm.
They will tolerate B players, but as soon as you ask them to work with a C player, they're gone. They're just gonna leave, because an A player won't even begin to think about being weighted down by a C or a D player.
Mhm.
And what we found in terms of culture, the easiest way to change your culture in your business is have more A players on your teams. Well, okay, great. What's this guy talking about? What magic wand do we have to wave in order to make that happen, right? Well, how do you get more A players on your team? You stop repelling them. You stop providing an environment where they're like, I can't wait to get the heck out of here. How do you do that? Well, you let the D players and the C players off your team. Doesn't mean they're bad people. Or you change the roles for them so that they're now in their strengths and their natural strengths and talents. And in our practice, we've done both. The vast majority of folks who aren't performing well are let go because they're not working in the particular job that's great for them. And this is before Build My Team. Since Build My Team, this is really not an issue at all anymore, because we're hiring for natural strengths and talents. So you get those A players. They walk into your business. They do what they love to do. They do what's super easy to them. They don't realize why it's so special that they get these types of results. And on the other hand, you contrast that to like a C or a D player, which is going to walk in, look at the clock. I got 7 more hours. Look at the clock. I got 6 more hours. They're going to do, like, these are the people who require spoon feeding.
Mhm.
They require you to be a cat herder, so you can herd cats all day, in combination with a kindergarten teacher. So if you enjoy both of those roles as a kindergarten teacher and cat herder and professional spoon feeder, the third role, then C&D players are for you. But otherwise, I mean, all joking aside, they have to be let off your team. And by the way, those folks, you're doing them a favor because you're going to help them get a role that they're actually great at and performing. Nobody likes to suck at their job.
No, it's definitely true. And with that, do you, I mean, this, I guess, goes away from the build my team, but with your own practices, do you have, you have your hiring process, you hire someone, and then there's the onboarding process, right? Do you believe in like a probationary phase, essentially, where it's like the onboarding and essentially a test run is a bad word for it, but essentially you have a deadline to basically be able to fulfill the requirements of the job, or at least demonstrate that you are capable of? If not, essentially basically trying to weed out the D and C players ahead of time, I guess.
Well, that's what Build My Team does. So baked into our process is to not have the C&D players anywhere near what we recommend to clients. So you simply don't get C&D players with Build My Team. You get A players and B+. That's it. That's all we're sending over to our clients to recommend for them to interview and hire. So those types of folks never make the teams because we don't send them in the first place.
Okay. So, but do you still, even for A and B players, they might be an A player, but maybe not an A player for your team. They're an A player for someone else's team because of, whatever X factor, the culture or whatever. Right. So do you still believe in those probationary periods or anything like that?
We generally don't have those probationary periods. What we find, like, what makes an A player? It's the fit to the role. That's the primary requirement for them to be fantastic. So if they have an incredibly tight fit for their natural strengths and talents, and the role requires them to be themselves, then you're off to the races. Where you can also, like, we had this happen in our practice a long time ago. A person who was working our front desk this is before Build My Team, absolutely terrible fit for her natural strengths and talents, disastrous, almost got fired. Instead, we created a position that used her incredibly strong natural strengths and talents. And I'm here to tell you, she's perfect. Wouldn't change a thing. She's unbelievable. She was extremely empathetic for patients working at the front desk, gave away all kinds of stuff, put their needs first, couldn't schedule. Our scheduler was a disaster because it was all based around when patients were available, not when the office, the doctor, the resources, like the different equipment was available, the instruments. And instead, now she's the patient coordinator, and she's unbelievable at it. She will do anything to get these patients in for surgery, for like referrals. She prints maps for them. She'll give them driving directions. She will walk, like, you name it. We have, out of everybody we've referred over the last decade, I think we have less than 5 people who didn't actually go through with their appointments. It's something ridiculously so, and in healthcare, that's unheard of. We might be in the top 1% of the nation, but that's how good she is at her job. And all we did was move her from one position to another based upon her natural strengths and talents.
No, that is huge, because it's not like just because she didn't fulfill one job, it's like, okay, you have to be let go. It's like you noticed a strength that could be an additional strength that wasn't even a current job position or current thought of the business. And now, that's going above and beyond as a business. That's what sets a business apart from another business.
Well, thanks. Yeah, what makes her awesome and what she does now made her terrible at what she did then. Same person. It's how it goes. These were different requirements of her, and she's a absolutely wonderful human being. Think the world of her, and she was worth it. She was worth the business making that pivot. But on the other hand, the business needed that at the time. So it was not only a combination of the right thing to do, but it was the right thing to do for her, but it was the right thing to do for the business at the same time. And just by coincidence, they intersected. That rarely happens, let's face it. Yeah.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah. That is so awesome.
Yeah.
What are some of the most rewarding parts for you, with helping other businesses and other professionals really find their A team?
I mean, in the healthcare side of things, it's very straightforward. It's delivering outstanding patient care. So you got all these docs, and here's the this isn't just docs, it's any business owner. You buy this business, a lot of times you're saddled in debt, or if you're a doctor, I guarantee you're saddled in debt from student loans. You don't get any training on how to hire folks. Your expertise lies in something incredibly specific. On the doctor side, it's in doctoring. On the fitness side of things, you're going to know all kinds of stuff about how to train people, run a gym, that type of thing. The most rewarding thing comes from helping these business owners be incredible, right? Because like, I suck at HR. It's an incredible thing to hear. I have a company that finds people, but I'm terrible at HR. Well, I have a team who's unbelievable at it. They are unbelievable at it. And I get out of their way and let them be unbelievable. Now, if I had to do something that I was horrible at day in, day out, over and over again, you just become incredibly depressed. It's miserable. And, on the doctor side of things, it's not like you can leave. You got handcuffs, you got debt handcuffs, your name's on leases, on financing arrangements, all kind of that stuff. I would imagine it's pretty darn similar in the fitness industry. All that fitness equipment doesn't just show up for free, right?
Right.
A lot of capital and requirements for that type of business. So you need people on your team that can convert that from just dead time where equipment's sitting there to people using it and paying the fees.
No, definitely.
You need an outstanding team. Yeah.
So what were some of the mindset shifts that you've had along your entrepreneurial journey, from starting your first practice to, growing it, and now with the whole, Build My Teams company as well? What were some of those levels of mindset, shifts that you've had to have?
Well, moving away from the resume was critical, but I didn't know what to move away from, or what to move away to, I should say. And Build My Team provides that I don't have anything to do with hiring people in our own practice now. Build My Team handles it all. So if somebody's moving, we say we need a technician or a secretary. One shows up and they're fantastic. I mean, I'm not exaggerating. That's how it works for us. So it was moving away from the resume. The second thing was the concept of hiring for strengths and talents. I cannot tell you how hard it would get me to go back to being to the old way. I wouldn't touch it with a 10-foot pole. So for your listeners out there and folks watching, imagine you go to the eye doctor and the eye doctor says, "Hey, what's your glasses prescription?" And you say, "Well, today I think it's blah, 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 blah." And the eye doctor goes, "Okay, here's your prescription." Doesn't measure anything. Does that sound like a solid plan? It's a disaster, right? You wouldn't even know where to start. But that's how we do hiring. That's how traditional resume hiring is done. Build My Team, we measure the heck out of the candidates that are coming in. We know exactly what they're good at. And when we send over a candidate to our clients to hire, they're going to hire them. We're at about 97% certainty that they can do the job through that process. So the big shift there with strengths and talents is I would never, ever, ever go back to the regular hiring approach, because our company has discovered a way and commercialized a way to find those A players reliably throughout North America. And it's, as you try to scale a business, you realize very quickly that unless your team's fantastic, you're not going anywhere.
No, definitely. So the final question I have for you, right? And I know I didn't give this to you ahead of time because I like the first thing that comes to mind, I will preface it by saying it's not a tombstone, right? For some reason, people start to give me that answer. So it is the Dr. Neal, Dr. Mike's, legacy wall. And on this legacy wall, it is one lasting message that you would leave for the up and coming generations. That basically this lesson can be short or long. It's whatever you've learned along your life's journey that you would like to leave.
Holy cow. That's wild. I have a couple that pop to mind right off the bat. In terms of legacy, I think helped tens of thousands of candidates get better jobs helping people. That's the work legacy. From a leadership standpoint, leadership by example. Nothing touches that. You have to lead by example no matter what. If you're the type of leader that doesn't lead by example, go get a job because your business is going to tank. And I don't know exceptions to that at all. So, and something else that has more personal is be kind and work your butt off. Those two things are undervalued in the culture today, and I don't know very many extremely successful people who don't have those two in their their talent sets.
It is very true. The lead by example and be kind and work your butt off. All three of those, like, people want to help you build your vision if they know you care about them, right? They want to be that now. It's a part of their vision, right? So that I agree with that 100%.
But you have to authentically care about them too, right?
Oh, 100%.
I mean, you can't just oh, we care about you because it's on our mission statement. That's garbage.
Right.
You either do or you don't. I mean, one thing that humans are fantastic at is determining if somebody's authentic or full of it.
Mm-hmm.
And so as a leader, you have to be authentic, be honest, all that stuff, and things work. The universe will work very hard to make you successful.
That's awesome. Where can people connect with you and learn more about what you have going on, as well as Build My Teams?
Sure. Buildmyteam.com. That's our website. So for anybody out there in the fitness industry or any other listeners that wants to take our approach, best thing to do is go to buildmyteam.com, schedule a consultation, and just start telling our team members. It's a free phone call, of course, but start telling our team members, just absolutely unload on them. Here's all the problems I'm having. I hear, like, the more honest and candid you can be, the more we can help you.
That's awesome.
And it's okay to admit you have no idea, or you have some idea and it's not working out. That's totally okay. That's what we do.
That's awesome. I'll put that in the show notes, guys, as well as it'll be, if you're watching on YouTube, the video description. Make sure you guys share this episode with a friend, right? Make sure you guys help someone else understand the mindset of not only hiring, but there's a flip side to it. There's the employee side, right? Getting hired. If you want to become an A player, you need to understand what the job actually entails and do your best to fulfill it. Don't just clock in, clock out. But with that being said, I want to thank you again, for taking the time out of your day to hop on and drop so much knowledge for the Mindset Cafe.
Thanks so much. This was fantastic. You're an outstanding interviewer, by the way. Outstanding.
Yeah. Thank you. I appreciate that. We'll definitely talk soon.
Thanks.
No negative vibes, only positive thoughts. Cause in the game of life, mindset calls the shots. Got my mind on the prize, I can't be distracted.